So research suggests that the ideal running temperature is between 50 and 59 degrees Fahrenheit. But what if it's hotter than that? Welcome to the Ageless Runner. I'm Ralph. So running in the heat, humidity can be really tough on our bodies. It can just make it work harder, it can increase our heart rate. So I thought today I would share some reasons why that happens, what's going on in our bodies, and give you a few suggestions on ways to manage the heat and humidity so our bodies don't suffer too badly, we don't get dehydrated and have all kinds of issues. So one of the big things our bodies does when we run is manage our body temperature, keeping our core temperature at the right temperature. So in the wintertime, we try and keep all of our blood really close to our core, keep our core organs and our body up at the right temperature. In the summertime and heat, it's just the opposite. If we can get too hot, our metabolism speeds up, we can get very hot very quickly. So the body does a couple of things. One, it tries to direct more blood to the skin, and we sweat. And when we sweat, it's the evaporation of that sweat that cools our body. It's like in the summertime, you go swimming in the pool, you get out of the pool, you feel chilly even though it's really hot outside. Well, we're trying to do that with our sweat. And so that evaporation is what cools us. And of course, the rate of evaporation depends on the temperature and humidity outside, any wind and things like that. Now, when I use the word sweat, I'm always reminded of what my wife tells me. She says, horses sweat, men perspire, women glow. So I hope you're not offended by my use of the word sweat, but I call it sweat. Surrounding the heat and humidity causes a couple things to happen in our body. The first is our heart rate goes up. And one reason why I do that, of course, when you run, your metabolism speeds up and your heart rate goes up. But again, in this cooling process, your body's sending more blood to the skin. Well, it takes a little more effort to pump that blood up towards your skin level than keeping it close to your core. The second thing is that sweating means you're losing fluids. Therefore, the plasma in your blood volume reduces a little bit. So when your heart pumps, it pumps a little less volume. So to make up that and to make sure you're circulating the right amount of blood, it pumps faster, okay? So your heart rate goes up. So I've noticed for me, in the summertime, it's much harder to control my heart rate. I often run by heart rate, for example, keeping my heart below 80% in the aerobic zone. Just tougher to do in the summertime. It'll creep up on me. And again, the reason is I'm sweating more, my body's trying to pump more blood to the skin. It just elevates my heart rate. So I have to run even slower, slow down even more, to keep my heart rate down. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, please scroll down and hit that like icon. Those likes really help my channel. I'm drinking my water. I know it's a Starbucks cup, but it's water in here. Now, the second thing heat humidity does is it takes more effort. It slows us down. It's well documented, well researched. At elevated temperatures slows down runners, slows down running times. In fact, I looked at one that looked at the 2018 London Marathon, and that was kind of the warmest marathon on record. I think the average temperature was just slightly over 75 degrees Fahrenheit. They looked at the finish times, and they were the slowest on record or in the history of the marathon. So it's going to slow you down. You got to work harder. Now, a reason for that is, again, as we said, the body tries to pump more blood to the skin, get that cooling, get that evaporative cooling of the sweat to cool down the body. So it's pumping less blood to your muscles. In other words, your muscles are getting less of those oxygenated red blood cells, which it needs. Some of it's going to the skin, not as much as going to your muscles. The body's great. It's a wonderful machine, but it can't separate red blood cells. In other words, they can't say, okay, red blood cells, you go to the muscles. Everybody else, go to the skin. It doesn't do that. So some of those red blood vessels are going to the skin, not the muscles that it needs to power them and oxygenate them and produce energy. So you're going to slow down. It's going to be harder for you to run. You'll notice it hotter, the more humid it is, the more you're probably going to slow down and the more you're going to struggle. It's just biology. There's nothing you can do about it. So what can we do about this? As I said, there's very little we can do about the weather. We can't, everybody talks about the weather, but nobody does anything about it, right? But we can be smart about some things that we do. And one of the things we can do is be really wise when we go out and run, especially as we get older. A person of my age, we want to be careful going out and running when it's too hot and too humid. We could get dehydrated, we could get overheated and have some problems. So how do you decide, is it too hot, is it too humid outside? Well, some of that's your personal feelings, how you feel when you go out in that. Some people love the heat, and some people love the humidity. So one thing to look at is a metric that meteorologists use called dew point. Dew point is the temperature at which water in the air will condense. And so that's a measure of the amount of moisture in the air. The higher the dew point, the more muggier it's going to feel. Now, this is a real rule of thumb. Don't take this as a line in concrete. If the dew point is 65 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, you're going to feel more uncomfortable outside running. It's going to be a little harder for you. If it's below 60 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll feel a little more comfortable. Between 60 and 65, well, it's up to you. It depends. Each person's different. So if you see high dew points, you see dew points that are above 65 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe that's not the best time for you to run. Now, a kicker here, of course, is wind. If it's windy outside, wind blowing across your body speeds up that evaporative cooling, the cooling of that sweat, evaporation of that sweat off your body. So that could make you tolerate higher temperatures and humidities a little easier. So even though the dew point might be over 65, if there's a nice breeze blowing outside, that may be fine. You may feel fine and have that. So pay attention to the dew point. Pay attention, is it sunny? Is it cloudy? Is it breezy? Is it not breezy? And make a wise decision not to overtax your body by running in poor conditions. Next thing we can do is hydration. As we said, we're sweating. We're losing all those body fluids. We need to stay properly hydrated. That maybe is the most single important thing you can do. Even if you go out and run when the dew points are high, as long as you're staying well hydrated, getting the right electrolytes, hopefully you'll be fine. So what you should do is a day or two before you run, I assume you're playing maybe a long run or a race, it's going to be warm and humid, start getting hydrated. Take in more water a day or two before. Before you run, 20 to 30 minutes before you run, drink 8 to 12 ounces of water. Do your run. Of course, drink during your run. Drink a little more. The higher the dew point, the hotter and more humid it is. Maybe drink a little more. I typically, in the warm weather months, drink about every 15 minutes. I'll drink 4 or 5 sips from my water bladder, and that gets me in the maybe 4 to 6 ounces every 15 minutes. If you're interested more in what I do for hydration, I have a video on my Patreon channel. You can head over there and check that out if you're interested. But get more moisture, more water in your body, the hotter and the more humid it is. Now, the other thing to think about is electrolytes. When you sweat, you're losing electrolytes. Certainly you're using sodium. That's why sweat is salty. You're losing sodium. You're losing some of the other electrolytes. So again, a day or two, start getting some electrolytes. I use a product called Noon. You can see these are a lot of grocery stores, department stores. I'll drink one of those maybe the day before, maybe the morning of, and put something in your water that you take with you in your run. There's lots of electrolyte powders out there. I use a combination carbohydrate electrolyte powder in my water bladder. So you get those electrolytes, get that sodium, magnesium, calcium, get that in your body while you're running and sweating. So part of our cooling process is evaporating that sweat. So we need to get that sweat away from our body, up through our clothes, into the atmosphere. So you want to make sure you're wearing sweat-wicking, moisture-wicking clothes. Now most running athletic shirts do that, but make sure yours do that. A lot of the man-made fibers like polyester and so forth do a pretty good job of that. I like wool. I actually have a running shirt that's a very light wool. It's a wool blend. Wool is a very great fiber for wicking moisture and getting it to the surface to evaporate. But any of the running shirts you buy probably would do a good job, but make sure they're moisture wicking. Get that sweat off your body, get it out there so it can evaporate. So it's really important as you run in these hot summer months, with the temperature, humidity, you can stay well hydrated, get the electrolytes, be smart about when you go out and run. Don't run it, in the middle of the afternoon when it's the hottest and maybe the most humid, if you can avoid it. Sometimes during a long race, maybe you can't avoid it, but again, stay well hydrated. Pay attention to your body. If you get dehydrated, your temperature will rise and your heart rate could get very rapid. If you sense anything like that, obviously you need to stop, get some liquids in you, but be very careful about running these hot and humid temperatures. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please scroll down and hit that like icon. Those likes, they help my channel so much, and I really appreciate it when you click that like button. And if you're new here, please stick around and click the subscribe icon also. Thank you very much and happy running.